Welcome to Entrepreneurs Conquering the World, how to build a global audience and profit from it. With your host, Carmen Ring.
Hello everyone, welcome to our show, Entrepreneurs Conquering the World. My name is Carmen Ring, I'm your host. And today I have with me a very successful international entrepreneur, Lucia Giovannini. She's from Italy. She's actually with us right now from Italy. And Lucia is a doctor in psychology and the founder of Bless You International. She has been teaching for over 20 years all over Europe and Asia. She has been teaching to individuals as well as to companies, large companies. And she's also an international author. Some of her books have been translated into multiple languages. Some others are right now in the process of being translated. And some of the titles you might want to check out are A Whole New Life, I Deserve the Best, or Free Your Life. Lucia has also been a co-author for a few books on nutrition, which talk about the vegan lifestyle. Once again, Lucia, welcome to our show. Why don't you tell us more about your journey and what did it take for you to get where you are right now?
First of all, thank you, Carmen, for inviting me and hosting me in your show. And well, I wasn't always an author and a motivational speaker and a coach. I started out as a fashion model here in Italy, by the way, and then from Italy I worked in many countries in the world as a fashion model. And being an entrepreneur since a young age, while I was modeling, I also set up a few companies in the fashion industry. Like I had an agency for models, a modeling school, and a company that used to organize catwalks and fashion shows. So in the middle of this quite successful career, I start feeling very empty inside. Like everything on the outside, everything was apparently going very well, except that I was totally unhappy. And I felt like my life had no meaning whatsoever. So I started waking up every morning wondering, why am I doing this? Yes, of course, the money was good, but I was traveling and I like to travel very much. So those two things were still, probably my main motivator, but it wasn't enough. From that moment, I went on a self-discovery journey. I was really, unhappy, and since my background is still in psychology and psychoanthropology, that is my passion, has always been my main passion in life. Studying the human psyche and our possibilities. And so I devoted my life, I devoted my search, my whole life to this search. And then there came a day where I took this decision to totally change my life and let go of all my companies, my work in the fashion industry, and start this new business. And it has not always been easy, of course, because I started from scratch. Meaning that those times, especially in Italy, nobody knew what coaching was, except for sports coaching, but not, mental coach or emotional coach, or they didn't know anything about this. They didn't know anything about personal development. And so I really had to create a culture around it.
So as you just mentioned, you started your business in Italy. At what point did you decide, or at what point was it the moment when you decided to take it internationally and to go abroad?
Well, it started around 12 years ago, when I started traveling to Asia very often. Basically because I'm in love with Asia, and so I started spending more and more time in Thailand. At a certain point I said, okay, if I want to be here more often, I'd rather, start to bring my business here. And that's what I did. And I created my first retreat, 8 days retreat called Spirituality, Vitality, Wellbeing, to offer people the possibility to live in a paradise location and do profound personal work, healing work. And that went very, very well, actually, because people could combine holiday with, personal insights and personal development. And so from there, I started offering other workshops, and then I started going to Singapore and bringing some of my workshops there. And slowly, slowly the business developed, and that's what gave me, the idea, yes, I can make it, I can go international.
So when you teach internationally, is it everything in English, or do you use some sort of translations or interpreters?
That's another good point. Basically, I teach in English, or I teach in French when I'm in France, or I teach in Spanish when I'm in Spain. And that's it, because I just speak those 4 languages. And but then lately, like, my books have been translated in Bulgarian, for example. So lately I've been to Sofia, which I'm also going back in a few weeks. I'm going back to Sofia for a couple of workshops. And there, of course, I need translation because I don't speak Bulgarian. And it's interesting, or I work with some Chinese groups in Singapore, and of course I need a translation. And it's interesting because I didn't think about it beforehand, but what came up for me was an interesting process of what are they saying? Or is the translator really conveying what I mean? So an interesting awareness of I need to let go of control. I thought like I've done so much work on letting go of control, on trusting, that everything is okay, and still this translation issue faced me with some unfinished business on myself.
And do you feel that the people in different countries, especially Asia versus Europe, I feel it's a big cultural difference. Do you feel you have to approach them in a different way, or you have to talk to them in a different way so you can give the same message and have the same results? And I'm asking you this as a business person, but also as you being a doctor in psychology. I also want to know how this knowledge of yours, this bonus you have, studying psychology, how has this helped you in approaching different markets?
Yeah, well, I think that there are some very interesting things. Like what I noticed is that as human beings, we all have the same fundamental needs, like the need for affection, the need for being recognized, the need for being listened, the need for being safe, not judged, not being shamed in front of groups, things like this. And this is, for me, it's a very reassuring and very, very nice thing to know. That it doesn't matter the color of our skin or our culture. The fundamental human needs, like the fundamental human qualities, are the same. Having said that, there are for sure some differences in our cultural patterns. Like, for example, in Italy, we are so used of talking with our hands. We are so used to talk all the time, to hug each other, So it's very easy when I lead groups in Italy or in Spain, for that matter, or even in India. We are very similar, And I ask people to share in small groups. They talk and talk and talk, and when I leave some space for questions, everybody raises their hands, even, too many people, and ask any kind of question. When I do the same workshop in Asia, and I say share in groups, like everybody is silent like this, or when I say, okay, now it's time for a question, if you have any question, nobody raises their hand, like there is a tendency not to show emotions, not to ask questions, because you may ask the wrong question and therefore lose your face in Asian culture. which in Europe, especially in Southern Europe, we do not have it at all. Maybe we have the opposite. Everybody is showing emotions, and even, I mean, not too much, but even all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely, you know, something good to know, and it's good to know about this culture. So I'm happy you're sharing this experience, because if some of our audience is trying to get on the Asian market, they should know that if this is the response they get, it's not because the public is not interested in what they're doing. It's not because their message is not appropriate. It's just because that's the way they are, and that's the way they receive information, and that's the way they react to information. Now, this being said, do you also use a different marketing technique for them, or is it the same? The marketing is the same?
Well, this is something I'm actually looking at right now, because up to now it was the same, basically. Except maybe for some markets like Singapore or the Chinese market, where everything is more about profit. Like, for example, in Europe, and I'm not talking just by Italy, but Europe in general, we have gotten to a point where we know that it's not, I mean, what makes us happy at a personal or even collective level is not, you know, having more money. I mean, having more money is good, is needed maybe, but it's not the most essential element for happiness. And so people respond more to stimulus or to advertising, like inner peace or better communication or balance, work-life balance. And what I notice is that in some markets, especially Chinese market or Singaporean market, they respond better to increase your budget, increase your effectiveness. It's still more about those external goals. But I also think that in a few years this is going to change also in those markets, because
the transition will happen. I agree.
Yeah.
At this point, it's very, I think this is very valuable information to share with our audience, you know, in case they are looking to expand their business on other markets. And, you know, US, I'm based in North America, and it's more like Europe, you know, it's more like people are thriving for more inner peace, balance. They've already been through the money-making process. They feel maybe they know how to do it, so now they're looking for the next stage of it, how to enjoy the money-making process.
Yes. And not get trapped into the, you know, run the whole day trap, yeah.
And in taking your business internationally, you know, other than the language and using translators, like you said, I'm sure there are some other logistics that you have to take care of. What are some challenges you faced? You know, maybe currency problems, or what challenges have you faced? And I want you to share this so that the people that want to do this, they understand that these are just some challenges that can be overcome. It's not a sign that, oh, this is not for me. You know, they're going to face these things and they just need to deal with them. So if you can share a few of the challenges you had.
Yeah, well, for me, the main challenge has been, and in some ways still is, the extent of work that needs to be done. Like, of course, in Italy, I'm well known because my books have sold like almost, well, actually more than 100,000 copies and all that. So there's a routine that is already going on, and it's okay. Of course, when I bring my business to other countries, I need to start all over again. Okay, in terms of marketing, in terms of, I don't know, making myself known, in terms of making the books known. And so at the beginning, it's me and my two assistants that do all the work. So there is a lot more work with the same resources, the same people. And then, of course, what I learned from these challenges, because for quite a few days or weeks, actually, especially during the book launch periods or before the seminars, it becomes like work, like, I don't know, 24 hours a day. And so this was the biggest challenge, because I ended up like with no energy. And so then what I learned is to ask for help, is to partner up with other people, is to hire more assistants, so that the work can still be done, but not just by me. And I think that this is really the biggest challenge I had.
So the message would be that
and
as you grow your business, you have to grow your resources and your team that you work with, because the market is growing, but you're still just one. The public is growing, you're still just one. So that's what you did. You surrounded yourself with more people and more help. My other question was, how do you decide to approach a new market? You just mentioned Bulgaria now. How did you decide to go in Bulgaria? Like, why Bulgaria?
Well, it was Bulgaria that chose me.
Okay,
Actually,
so tell us about that.
I didn't think about Bulgaria, or now my book is being, in a few months, will be released in Croatia. So again, I actually didn't think about Croatia, but again, it was Croatia who chose me, like Portugal, the same. So by chance, I met a person, a woman who came to one of my workshops, and she lives in Italy, and she's from Bulgaria in that case. And she is she reads all my book, and she was enthusiastic about my books, and she said, oh, we should bring this to Bulgaria. And I said, well, yes, I don't know anyone in Bulgaria, but I'm open, to any development. And so she translated like the introduction, the first chapter, and then started sending it to some publisher in Bulgaria, and then, found a publisher there. And then the same happened with Croatia, and in Portugal, similarly. I was in Thailand at a workshop, and there was a person, a writer, and a coach from Portugal, and she said, oh, I like your books, I like your style, and I'll talk about you to my publisher there. So actually, it's not so much me choosing a new market, but markets choosing me.
So you just chose your first market, international, which was Asia, because of your personal passion and personal interest. And from there, they just came to you because you attracted people from all over the world, and they just wanted to spread your message because they liked it so much. However, how big was your business? Because you mentioned, they came, she had read all of your books. So your business was already pretty well developed, in Italian, and at the point where you took it internationally. So that, of course, had an influence because she had something to like and she had something to bring over. So how big, would you say, how stable and how big your business was before that?
Yeah, that is a very good point, I think, because I think you need a base, or at least is easier if you already have a base in one country, a strong and stable base, both financially and at an organizational level. So my business was already quite big. I already had written probably 6 or 7 books. Now I've written more than 13, but at that time I had already written, around 6. And I already had, a stable organization going on with organizing workshops, both for companies and open to public and all that in Italy before going international.
I see. Okay, so that's a very good advice to give someone, before venturing into the adventure of being international. A good idea would be to have a base, to have a very good model already built in your original country, and then you can just model it. Like you said, every time you go to a new country, you start over again with the marketing, but basically all you're doing is multiplying, you're just doubling what you already did. It's just now in another language, another market, but you already know what you're doing. It's not like going in the dark.
Exactly. You already have a sort of procedure or, set of steps, that worked in a country. Now, as we talked about before, it's not granted that the same exact steps will work in another country, but at least you have a blueprint.
Now, what would you say are the main benefits of being international? Is it, of course, it's bringing you more income and more clients from all over? And what other benefits? Why would you encourage someone to go internationally?
Well, for me, it has to do with doing something for the world. Like I think the whole world is our house. And for me, I've always traveled since I was a little girl. I lived in Africa. My father worked there, and then I moved to Italy, and then for a period in South America, and then Asia. And so I like to travel. And I like to meet people, and I like to know about people, and I like to help where I can, of course, to give a hand, to give my share, to use my talents or what I can do in order to help people all over the world. So
it's other than the income and the financial part of it, it's a matter of satisfaction. It's a matter of life mission, knowing that your mission and your message is going globally and is touching so many lives with so many backgrounds. And then again, it comes as a proof of what you were saying in the beginning, that even though we have different backgrounds, different cultures, inside and the base and deep inside, we're all the same, with the same needs of recognition, of affection, so it comes back to that we're all one. In the end, we're all the same, even with all the differences that come between us. And that's a wonderful message, and I do wish that everyone gets inspired, even for this reason, for the reason of touching so many lives and of being an inspiration and a proof that we're all the same, we're all one in the end. So I do hope that everyone is gonna, you are a very successful example. You've made it in so many countries, and everything sounds to be pretty smooth. Of course, once you have built your basis and once you have everything together, then it seems to be a pretty smooth process, just moving from country to country. I guess just the first step is more difficult. Once you have taken the first step, then it becomes easier and easier every time. So you've already told us a little bit about the future plans for your business. You said your book is going to be translated in Bulgarian, Croatian. You're going to go there. Do you have any plans of coming to North America?
I'd love to. For the moment, I don't have, connections there, meaning like my book is A Whole New Life is on Amazon, yes, but I never came to North America to teach, so I'd love to. So
maybe North America is going to come to you. It's going to come and ask for you, just like all the other markets did. It's very impressive. You are all over the world, Asia and Europe, and so many different backgrounds, and they all reacted very well to your teachings and your books. Yeah. So I'm sure North America can be a great market for you too. And as a lot of our audience is actually from North America, we have an audience all over the world, but a lot of them are in North America. And in case they didn't get in touch with your work yet and with your books, I know you have a surprise for them and a gift for them. You want to tell us about that?
Yes. I have the gift I have for you is the first chapter of my book, A Whole New Life. And A Whole New Life is a book about change. And it really helped thousands and thousands of people all over the world to create the changes they wanted in their life, and also to face change, because sometimes life pushes us through changes, through unwanted changes, through difficult moments, and in those times it's not easy to keep balanced and to keep your serenity and your inner peace. And so A Whole New Life is really a book that helps both to create the changes we want.
And how can our audience get your book? What do they have to do to actually receive this first chapter of your book?
Well, there's a link. you can you'll see it written. Yeah.
Is it going to be from your website?
Yes, just go on the website. Is actually the website is luciagiovannini.com, so my name, and it's in the resources, A Whole New Life, and from there you get the free gift.
And that's going to be in English, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so they can download it from there, and I encourage everyone to go ahead and download Lucia's book from there. And you know, a lot of our audience, as I said, they're from all over the world. Maybe somebody else is gonna like it and is gonna want to take it to other countries. You know, more languages in other countries. Because now for you, it's just a process that keeps coming and coming to you. It's just happening. It's very natural for you now to just approach a different market, and which I think is very inspirational. And thank you for sharing your experience and your message with our audience. Now, the one more thing I want to ask you, and I try to ask this to all of my entrepreneurs: who has been in all this process? You've had an amazing journey. And you know, from being a fashion model to being an international businesswoman, has there been somebody in your life or a mentor that you've had all along this process, like somebody that really made an influence and an impact in the decisions you've had?
Well, two people. One is my mother, because my mother has been a great example to me, and especially in her loving way. She was very loving, but also she let me free. She gave me an incredible freedom. Like in all the turmoil of my life, the breakups, divorces, and changing of careers, you know, even at a young age, she was always there, never judging, always, okay, if that's, you know, your choice, it's okay. It's just a step in your journey. So, so I'm really grateful to her for this. And the other is Amma Amritanandamai. I don't know if you've ever heard or if you're familiar. She also comes to North America once in a while, and she's an Indian teacher, considered an Indian saint. She's famous for hugging people. She's the hugging Indian teacher. And she does a lot of charity work, actually. She, like, all her activities are for, you know, for helping children and widows in India and poor people, and building schools and hospitals. And I've been to her ashram in India a few times, and I try to follow her when she's somewhere around the world and I'm also there. And she inspired me really to keep my heart open to humanity, and do my best to really be of help and support.
And that's a great support you can get from someone. And I'm really happy you shared that, because you know, I myself also feel that mentors and people close to us that support us all over the journey are very important. If not necessarily for business purposes, it's for inner balance purposes, you know, to keep us on track and just to remind us at any point, you know, where we started and how much progress we made, and just to keep us on track. And you know, sounds like you've had some very good mentors and supporters right there in your life. Lucia, thank you so much for joining us. Again, I encourage everyone to go and check Lucia's website, www.luciagiovannini.com, as you can see on the screen also. Go ahead and get your gift from her. It's a very generous offer she made. And I will see you all in our next episode. Until then, have a wonderful day. Thank you, Lucia.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching Entrepreneurs Conquering the World with your host, Carmen Ring.